Okay, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us for this talk. We're really excited to be here. So we're here to talk about how using XR impacts for ocean health education can make an impact on ocean health and conservation. So a little introduction. My name is Sally. I am the Digital Partnerships Manager at WDC, Whale and Dolphin Conservation.
And my name is Michael, as you've just heard, and I'm producer at Actrio Studio.
So I'm going to give a little introduction to WDC and what we do. So Whale and Dolphin Conservation, we are the leading global charity dedicated to protecting whales and dolphins. We work across the globe to protect these amazing creatures from the many threats that they face, and we do that through campaigns, lobbying, advising governments, field research, rescue and education. And our vision is a world where every whale and dolphin is safe and free. We have our main goals, which are to stop cruelty, and that's to stop things like hunting and captivity and whaling. We also work to create safe seas, and that's stopping incidental and accidental harm, such as entanglement in fishing gear, pollution, collisions with vessels, and climate change. And we also fight to recognise their rights as socially complex and sentient beings that deserve to be free of all these threats, and as our vital allies in the fight against climate breakdown. But why do we need to save the whale? The answer is quite simple, really. Not only are they amazing, sentient and intelligent creatures, but they are also our vital allies in the fight against climate and biodiversity breakdown. Whales are basically like giant swimming trees. They capture huge amounts of carbon on their enormous bodies throughout their long lifetimes. And when they die, they sink down to the bottom of the sea and lock that carbon away for up to thousands of years. But also in their lives, they cycle really vital nutrients around the ocean through their movements and migrations. And these nutrients feed phytoplankton, which are tiny microscopic plants that float on the surface of the sea. And phytoplankton is responsible for generating half of the oxygen that we breathe and capturing millions of tons of carbon from the atmosphere. So we really need whales to ensure a healthy ocean so that we can have a healthy planet. And whales are instrumental in this cycle, and we need to make sure that we can allow whale populations to thrive. So, for example, if we could enable blue whale populations to recover to numbers seen before commercial whaling was introduced, it could have the same positive impact on the climate as planting 218 million trees. So we really need to help the whales to recover. And this is where games come in. Games really do have the power to save the world. So I'm going to show you a few examples of how WDC has worked with games companies in the past to make this kind of impact. So firstly, we've been working with Sega, and through Sega we've worked with Relic Entertainment on a few different activities. They've been huge supporters of ours and have been doing it in a really simple but effective way. And that is through DLC. So we've worked with Relic on a DLC pack or downloadable content pack with Company of Heroes 2, which sounds a bit odd to be having a whale charity linked to a war game, but it just goes to show that your product or your game does not need to be completely relevant to the cause that you're supporting, because in-game content can be customizable to whatever theme you need it to be. So we have this amazing wildlife camo patterns cosmetics pack where you can have your tanks have a whale, dolphin or orca pattern to them, and it's been really successful, really popular. It's raised over $100,000 for WDC's conservation work. Over 90,000 units have been sold in that time. And it's just a really simple way that you can support conservation and make it relevant to the game at the same time. And through that funding from Sega and from Relic, we've been able to support our work across the globe, tackling issues like chemical pollution and captivity. And we've also been able to fund a boat for our partner research station out in Vancouver, as you can see in the picture here. They use this boat to deploy things like hydrophones in the water so they can monitor and study the orca populations out there to understand how to better protect them. So again, it's just kind of showing that real-world impact that's happening for conservation through that support from the game. We've also been working with Steam through Valve. We've been collaborating with them for a number of years. and they've helped facilitate things like the DLC pack that you saw, and also various Steam sales throughout the years. And collectively, so Valve has helped our partners collectively raise over £800,000 for our work through different Steam activations. We've also been starting to host our own Steam sales every year to celebrate World Oceans Day. And most recently, this year's one, our Games for Waves World Oceans Day sale actually generated our biggest donation ever for the charity. We raised £693,000 for our conservation work. We had over 100 games in the sale and around 50 developers and publishers all taking part. And it was amazing to see so many different diverse companies coming together for a shared cause to support our work. And yeah, it was just quite mind-blowing how much money was raised and how the impact that's going to have on our conservation work. And finally, I'll just talk about Curve Games. So Curve have been an amazing partner of ours for the last couple of years. We've been working with them since 2020 and collaborated with them on multiple activities since. And one of those is our collaboration on the game that they published called I Am Fish. This is a really cute physics-based game where you control a goldfish, and the aim of the game is to escape your fish tank and get back into the ocean. And it's a really fun game, and a portion of proceeds from Steam are donated to WDC to support our conservation work. And since the game released, it's raised over £10,000 for WDC. And part of that money has helped us fund this, in the picture here, a observational land-based camera for our research station out in Vancouver again, to help monitor the orcas there. And on the picture on the right, you can see a screen grab from the footage, seeing where the orcas are. And it's actually been showing our team out there really unique behaviours and showing that it's a really vital habitat for the orcas there. And our plans are to use the data gathered from the camera to put a case forward to extend the ecological reserve to bring further protections for the orcas. And that's all thanks to the funding from the partnership with the game I Am Fish. So I'm going to hand over to Michael. He's going to talk more about our collaboration on the VR game, The Great Ocean.
Thank you, Sally. So I was just going to say our partnership is pretty young. So we've been, working with NGOs on our game, The Great Ocean, for a while. And our partnership is very young, and I'm very much looking forward to add with, our funding to your efforts in conservation of whales and dolphins. And let's first have a look at the teaser. Press again, no, sorry. It should come.
Welcome on board. Choose a level and dive in our high-tech ROV, like in a small submarine, to solve the quests underwater. Now dive around where no one has gone before.
So we've been working on the project for about 2 years now. We're governmental funded, and also we did a successful Kickstarter campaign for this VR game. And the game itself allows you to dive into different regions of the ocean, which have been modeled authentically based on terrain and map data and species data. So we're working from the start with scientists to represent those threats and also the solutions that are available for ocean health improvement in the game. So you are in the game in this, ROV, a remote operated vehicle that scientists use to explore the oceans. And of course, it's a little bit, let's say, gamified, right? And ROV is usually a very clunky device, that's really hard to operate. We make it easier for you because it's a game. But we stay as truth as possible to the authentic science that's really behind it. So all the species that you see in the different levels are really species that are there, and the threats are there as well, correctly portrayed. So you can go to Cozumel, which is a premier destination for diving. You can go to the Arctic, where there is a lot of things happening according to climate change, because in the Arctic the climate change hits the fastest and the biggest changes first. And you can also go to the Galapagos. So I guess everyone knows the Galapagos, but maybe let's have a show of hands in here. Who has been snorkeling or diving in the last 2-3 years? Can we have a show of hands? No, in general, anywhere. Okay, I see some ocean lovers. That's amazing. So obviously, diving in the real ocean is a little bit different than in the game. We make it a little bit more easy. We allow you to go as deep to the deep sea and explore regions that are not that easy to explore. For example, the infamous submarine Kursk, that sunk at the Arctic region, and we let you also explore different shipwrecks and others. So the idea is really that when you go around, you see everything in really high quality visuals, and you have an ever-changing ocean just at your hand. So you can freely dive. You have missions, you have quests to solve, be it like in the trailer, to laser away trash, or to collect data to help rebuild coral reefs, or other quests related to real, authentic assets that are there in the ocean. What you can also do, and there we come in again, with our cooperation with WDC, you can actually adopt a dolphin.
Lasers melted into energy.
So here you've seen, that's a basic thing that you can do. You go to any species, and we have a lot of them, and you can scan them, so you learn more about them. And later also you can see more in the lab. But you can also go to more deeper areas. You can go see and visit hammerhead sharks, or like this wreck, which is a tanker that sunk in front of Galapagos a while ago. But the real issue and the real game mechanics that we implement in the game is you have to solve quests for real problems. So real problems include ocean pollution by plastic, by just dumping containers of oil or leakage into the ocean. It includes also restoring coral reefs and many other things that are part of conservational work when you are trying to improve ocean health. But you can also play to be a little bit of a marine scientist, because I think many young people, have the dream of becoming a marine scientist. We make it easy for you to first test in a game if that's actually something for you. Because in the game itself, you can also learn a lot about the ocean itself. You don't need to, but everything you scan ends up in this lab, and we have already over 100 of species that show you not just, if you want to learn the taxonomy, or, how they, just live, and how they grow up, and how they die, what threats there are, what solutions there are. We have all of that in our neat little lab. And for more of an educational purposes, we also offer a holodeck. So I guess holodeck is something that everyone would like to have in your home. We make it possible. You can have your own little holodeck in VR, and you can explore interesting talks, and you can go up to whales and dolphins and just see the beauty of nature. What we really want to do here also with the talk is we want to show that this support is just very fresh, and that's why we decided that we do a social giveaway very soon up in the future. So please follow WDC and us on our socials. As you can see here, you can also scan the QR code. And then we'll announce, the giveaway for Quest and Steam VR keys. So you can also wishlist us on Steam, because right now we're working on an enhanced version, graphically enhanced version for Steam VR. And of course, it'll be lovely to reach out of you and reach out to us to see what you think about the game. Yeah. So I think with this, we would, love to thank you for the opportunity to speak here, also to AWE, to have us here on board on this great panel, to let you a little bit know more about what work we've been doing in the past years and what's about to come. With this, we have a little bit of a video still here that takes us to one of the big cruelties that are still happening in the ocean, and I'll let Sally explain about it.
So we're going to show you a little clip from the game that is portraying what is called a sea pen. You might have heard in the news a few years ago the kind of infamous Russian whale jail. So that was when lots of orcas and belugas were captured and held in these sea pens, kind of like 30 to a group. We actually, one of the slides at the very beginning was showing a real picture of the sea pen. Basically a holding pen to then be sold off for captivity to aquariums around the world. Thankfully, there was an international uproar, and WDC was part of the campaign for that, and the whales have been released now. But this is kind of portraying that incident in the game and giving you as the player kind of agency to actually take action and free them from the net. So we'll show a little clip of how you can free whales from captivity in the sea pen. Yeah, I just love the little beluga faces, how happy they are to be free. But yeah, that's our presentation. Thank you so much for listening. Again, please follow us on socials to find out about the giveaway for the keys. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sally. Thank you, Michael. Wonderful. So do we have some questions, thoughts, deep thinking? Any kind of textures? It was really moving, really interesting, the kind of work you're doing. Any question, any remarks, any commentary? Or is it the stomach, burping for some food already? You've got some, of course. Go for it.
So my question is about the Kickstarter campaign. Congratulations on having a successful Kickstarter campaign. And I was wondering if you could maybe share a little bit of that experience and maybe any advice that you have for creating a successful campaign. And also, did you notice who was the audience that was very excited to support the Kickstarter? Was it people who are interested in oceanography or divers? Yeah, do you have any stories to share about that?
Sure, yes. I mean, of course, Kickstarter campaigns, and especially for VR projects, are really tough. So we were reaching out to Kickstarter. We've known each other for a while with the local representative in Berlin. And of course, he warned us, do you really want to do this? Because it's going to be tough. And yeah, I mean, most of the work was really done before, because as we had released the game already on Quest 2, we had a user base that we could reach out to, and we had also the NGOs, because for every level that we do in the game, we partner with an NGO to make it science authentic. And of course, they were reaching out to their community, we were reaching out to friends and family and to everyone we knew. And then, of course, it was a little bit of our socials, but it may be a little bit of luck. We had a bit bit of timing. We were closing up the Kickstarter pretty late, so we were not like 200% overfunded, but we really did it, and that's, if you look at the history of Kickstarter and VR games, it's pretty rare, actually. So we're really happy about that.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions? I know I got a question here, right? Can you stand up? I know he's one of the our youngest CEOs, by the way. Ian, go for it.
So, can you be also eaten by any sharks or sea animals somewhere?
Very good question. Thank you very much.
Interesting question.
Yes. So this is a safe experience. So you cannot be eaten. It's not a game where you have to fight for your life, and you can also not harm the environment in a way that would portray maybe hunting sharks or anything like that. So it's a really safe experience. It's very meditative in a way, if you can say so. You can also just swim in the ocean, and the sound that is an adaptive sound that comes in the music helps you to relax, actually. Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Yeah? Sure? Okay, you're happy with it? Nice. Okie dokie. Any more questions? We still have a bit of time before we grab some food. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm feeling. Yes, the stomachs are roaring a bit. We should all go and have some beautiful lunch. You've got a question? Yeah. Okie dokie. You just got here.
I know.
Wonderful. That's amazing.
Sorry. My volunteership just ended, so I wasn't able to attend this talk, but I really wanted to. I actually wanted, I have no idea what you talked about, but, I want to talk to you about deep sea mining and whether that's on your radar. And any comments or anything you could tell? I'm sure you have more knowledge than me.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much so. DSM, or deep sea mining, is definitely on our radar. So we are in contact with different organizations that are rallying up and are in the lobbying process for creating laws to prevent that. We know it's a big problem for the deep sea, environment and the creatures and the species that live there. They are very vulnerable, especially at those depths, to recover. It takes very, very long time. So no, it's definitely on our roadmap, and we already have let's say in the Arctic, you have a little bit of an outlook on how deep sea is going to look like. So please stay tuned for an update also to include deep sea mining.
If I can just comment a little bit on this.
Go for it.
For example, land mining and a lot of things that harm our environment happen already in plain view, and we see it, and we're already so accustomed to it and so desensitized. But deep sea mining is something that's going to happen completely out of sight, and at a scale we will never be able to see in our own eyes. And what people can get away with that, I'm so scared of that.
And that's why it's even more important that we visualize this in our game. Because it's going to be hard to take photography and stuff like that. There is lots of NGOs, also going to cover that. But when they cover it, it's already too late. We want to prevent it from happening.
You want to do a quick follow-up? Sure.
Yeah, I would like to answer your question because I just saw at the Nature Film Festival a film about deep sea mining, and the problem is that unfortunately they have started there is this big company called the Deep Metal Dig by Sherrod Barron, who is running around the world trying to look very green, but and telling everybody that he keeps the planet safe by deep sea mining because we need all this rare earth for electric cars. And indeed, the thing is, it's not in the Arctic. The deep sea mining is taking place west of the US, right in the Pacific, where they have already fields divided between different nations. And unfortunately, the whole convention against deep sea mining is sitting in Jamaica, and they can never kick ass and do anything really against it. And that's a real problem.
All the nations actually have identified deposits. Once it starts, it's going to spread everywhere.
Well, I mean, I think this is a very difficult and interesting discussion for sure. And the same is a little bit about marine protected areas. This is a little bit, this is a big issue because you have to create marine protected areas to actually be able to do active conservation and to prevent fishing. and this. And it always has to go hand in hand, because there's this artisanal fishing of fishermen that have been doing this for centuries. And of course, they live off the fish, and it has to be a sustainable fishing. So we're not trying to do something very, crazy. We're really trying to be supporting NGOs in their mission to help improve ocean health. And it's a difficult task for sure, because there's many different opinions and many different parties, having their own agendas on it. So it's even more important that, we are not ourselves political ambassadors, but we help others, through us to, gain, potentially interested people to change their mind and do something when it's come to vote.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Last one, okay? And then we wrap it up. You want to go for it?
I was just going to say, so it's something that WDC is obviously very passionate about, because our mission is to protect ocean health and particularly whales and dolphins. So issues like deep sea mining causes huge amounts of noise pollution, which whales and dolphins are very much affected by. They see with sound. Hearing is their livelihood. It's the way that they can get around, breed, find their food, talk to each other. So deep sea mining is very much an issue that is on our agenda to tackle. And we actually, the steam sale that I spoke about earlier in the slides, that generated our biggest ever donation. We've actually used some of that funds to hire a head of safe seas at WDC, and her main mission now is to tackle all of those issues, including marine protected areas, entanglement, and noise pollution, and pollution in general, chemicals and plastics. So we're definitely going to be doing a lot more work on tackling these issues. So yeah, stay tuned to hear more from WDC about that as well.
Thank you for a very thoughtful, interesting presentation. I'm just curious to know, have you considered to use live data feed in the game, such as in terms of what we're discussing now, noise, pollution, and so on?
So the topic of live data ingestion into the game has been discussed with our team internally a lot, and it's a complicated thing to actually achieve, because we want to still have a game loop that is good for every player, and live data, we use it and we extract from the live data something that we can create a compelling and interesting and challenging quest about. But somehow live data is, as scientists, very, very complex. And so we try to not overload the user with too much science information, but to just give it a choice. If the user wants to know more, he can just dive in and learn more about it. But the core loop of the game is something that we need to protect, because otherwise the game isn't fun.
Okie dokie, we should wrap it up. Give ourselves a round of applause to Sally and Michael. Thank you so much, guys.